Hi there, I'm Charlie. This is for Module 6 video. I'm just going to go ahead and start with question 1, which is research on life conditions that can accelerate telomere shortening and illustrate the joint influence of hereditary and environment of biological aging. So basically telomeres are the ends of the DNA chromosomes. They're the DNA at the ends of the chromosomes, that safeguard the stability of the cells and shorten over time as each cell is duplicated. Telomeres shorten with age, but there are also research findings that shows other reasons that telomeres can be shortened or prolonged. One of these research findings, which kind of makes sense, has been linked to unhealthy habits such as a poor diet, cigarette smoking, lack of proper exercise, excessive alcohol consumption. And then there's also research that shows a link between a person having persistent emotional stress and the shortening of these telomeres. This link can also be found between an expecting mother and her child's telomere length. So typically you'd want the expecting mom to be in good condition and follow these guidelines while she's pregnant and before. Thankfully, creating a healthier lifestyle habits, like a clean diet and focusing on proper physical activity, and try to live a more stress-free life can all be linked to a greater amount of telomerase being released. Telomerase prevents this decline in some kinds of cells, including stem cells, by lengthening the telomeres, and the hope was that activating the enzyme could slow cellular aging. We go on to the next question. Why are people in committed relationships more likely to be sexually active and satisfied than those who are dating several partners? I found 3 factors that affect the frequency of intimate relationships. These 3 factors include age, whether the couple is cohabitated or married, and also the duration of the relationship. While single people may have more sexual partners, this does not mean that they are having sex more frequently. Furthermore, sexual frequency predicts life satisfaction only in the context of a satisfying relationship. A couple with a healthy relationship that do live together or are married typically want to keep each other happy. And I think that is what motivates some of the frequency of the sex. Sex is a very important factor in relationships and marriages. And I think that being involved in a serious, committed relationships makes a couple intimate, which can make the sex better, more passionate, because they have feelings for one another. Satisfying sex involves more than technique. It's attained in the context of love and fidelity, and that was in our textbook. And then when you look at another aspect, being mental health, mental health can actually play a huge role in having sexual relationships with a partner. Men and women can differ in this area depending on their life experiences. For men, usually they're concerned with performing well enough, or they're afraid that they're going to climax earlier than what their partner wants, whereas women tend to lack interest and also have a hard time coming to a climax. So typically, if you are in a relationship or a marriage, you've been together for a while, you kind of know what the other likes, and you're more comfortable in your sexual experiences, and I think that makes it better for people, and they live together too, which makes it a lot easier to be a little bit more frequent. Next question is, how does expertise affect information processing, and why is expertise necessary for but not the same as creativity? So expertise is described in the textbook as an acquisition of extensive knowledge in the field or an endeavor. It is because of this extensive knowledge that experts have the ability to remember things and reason about them more effectively. There's a quote from the book that says, when a problem is challenging, they tend to plan ahead, systematically analyzing and categorizing elements and selecting the best from many possibilities, while the novice proceeds more by trial and error, which both are fine, but analyzing and coming up with a plan that's effective quickly is going to help a poor situation in the long term better than trial and error. Some people in some professions can't really do trial and error because their life could be on the line if you're in the healthcare field, or you could be making a building. You can't really trial and error while you're building something. And then being able to process information more effectively and look at the root of a problem helps to solve the issue more effectively. This type of knowledge also helps the expert think more creatively about what subject because they know more at a deeper level and recall things that some with little knowledge can. Mature creativity requires a unique cognitive capacity, the ability to formulate new, culturally meaningful problems and to ask significant questions that have not yet been posed before. So it is said in the textbook that based on some of the case studies, it takes an expert roughly a decade to become creative and produce creative work once they have exposure to the field. Creativity stems from expertise. However, not every expert or someone with an expertise is creative. That's why they differ, because creativity stems from someone being an expertise. There's a lot more that goes into creativity, and it is important to think outside the box and think intuitively if you are creative. Next question. So, what are student and college environment characteristics contribute to favorable psychological changes during the college years? During the traditional undergraduate years, a college student is exposed to new freedom and kind of like a culture shock. This usually happens more when they're living on campus at a regular 4-year university. This new environment can help to develop the students' sense of identity and beliefs by introducing the students to things or cultures that they have not yet personally experienced. There is research that shows that students become better about reasoning problems that have no clear solution, identifying the strengths and weaknesses of opposing sides and of complex issues, and then reflecting on their quality of their thinking is also developed during this time. In college, classes become more challenging than they have ever been in schooling before, and the freedom that comes with living on campus or away from your parents forces the students to be responsible for getting things done and getting, not just with school, but personal things that they need to get done. They're responsible for that now. The environment also plays a huge role in psychological changes because exposure to multiple worldviews encourages young people to look more closely at themselves. College students are encouraged to participate in all of the out-of-class offerings, and this helps students interact with more diverse peers and allows them to explore diversity issues. At a university, typically if you're there, you're going to meet so many more people than you would meet that went to your high school, because a high school is in one neighborhood that can be very much the same kind of people. Next question is on emerging adulthood. In this stage of life, the ages of 18 and 25, 5 features make emerging adulthood distinctive: identity explorations, instability, self-focus, and feeling in between adolescence and adulthood, and a sense of broad possibilities for the future. This stage of life is known as emerging adulthood. It's limited to those who live in developing nations. When the family or parents are well off and able to send their child to university or to travel, they are able to advance their education and explore career possibilities or travel the country and world and experience as much as possible. Getting a degree can help someone advance in their career, and those who travel get to experience different cultures and even different types of jobs that can help them with this extended transition of emerging adulthood. Next question. This is on Levinson's life structures and how it differs between men and women. Levinson's seasons of life are a bit different for men and women, obviously. The differences can change their decision making. Most men dream that they will have a successful career, whereas women have split dreams between career and then on the other hand, it's their family, getting married, having kids. So they say that men are oriented towards high-status careers, spent their 20s acquiring professional skills, values, and credentials, and women work in career development, and it's usually extended into middle age for women as well, where they'll, in their 20s, they do school, and they start a family, they get married, and then in their 30s, they're more likely to go back to school than a male would. Whereas by the time a male turns 30, they're more likely to settle down and focus on finding a mate or a partner and having kids because they've already successfully done all of their schooling and have a successful career. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks.